welcome back to Eeks and Geeks.
Hi.
Hello. My name is Pumpkin.
I'm Siberia.
I'm Lauren.
Damn it.
And I'm Kirsten.
We were so close.
And we are your geeks.
Yeah.
With
Here
the
to provide
eeks.
the eeks.
We got the Eekies.
Oh, ooh.
Spider?
Spider.
I felt like there was a spider biting me or something.
Oh,
It wasn't me.
Oh my God, it's from-
I reached over and I gave a little nibble. I said,
From Minnesota spider.
well, thank you for tuning in for another episode. This month we're starting the next themed block. This theme is paranormal.
Ooh. All of us being so cringe. Oh my God. Oh.
The name of the game, baby.
I don't know who you're calling cringe. I call it committing to the bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we all did it, so.
Yeah, who you calling cringe?
Who you calling pinhead?
Who you called Pinhead?
Kirsten, I need you to cosplay that now. Patrick as Pinhead with the hat.
Oh my
The
God.
one tooth.
Please. Yeah, the
Who you
one
called
tooth.
Pinhead? You be dirty, Dan.
Well, before we get into this week's episode, does anybody have any recommendations they want to talk about or do anything fun over the Halloween weekend they want to talk about?
I didn't watch any movies. I was just having Halloween weekend celebration the whole time.
I didn't watch any movies.
Watched
I
two
was
movies.
hocus and pocusing it up for little kitties, little
Did you have
kiddos.
fun?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had like a bunch of one of the coolest parts was, so in like the second one, she sings One Way or Another. It's supposed to be like I put a spell on you, or she puts a spell on the. So at one of the festivals, that song just played. The DJ was playing it, and so like we were like out in the center, just like dancing around, and all the kids started flocking towards us, and we're dancing too. And I was like, Winnie, it's working.
Cute.
The kids
That's
were like
so
freaking
cute.
out. Yeah.
Adorable.
Yeah, the kids like loved us. What's funny though is that they loved us together, but as soon as like because the one that's playing Winnie, she's like her it's her and her husband's company, so she'd like have to go check on something, and it would just be us, and they'd be like, "Oh, Winnie's not here. Bye." So like Mary and Sarah just like
You're just as good.
Like that white
Yeah.
creature, like
It's hurtful. Yeah.
and like all of the kids love Winnie. They also love Sarah. And all the adults love Mary. So like all the adults would
Yes.
want to come over and be like, I want to stand beside my favorite. And I'm like, oh yeah.
I'm a
Cute.
Sarah stan because she's a hoe.
Yeah.
Mm.
I love her.
All of us. I've watched 2 movies since Houses October Built. I watched Pearl, which I
Yeah,
was
what'd you think?
very excited for. I thought it was very good.
Uh-huh.
It was definitely a slow burn. Nothing nothing really horror-y happens until like the last 20 minutes or so, but like visually stunning. Mia Goth's performance,
So good.
incredible. The
I
whole
was
time.
so scared of her.
Yeah, like but that ending credits when the credits are rolling and she's just like
Oh God, she's so scary.
it's just like one shot of her like smiling like a lunatic for like 3 minutes and she doesn't blink the whole time and the credits are just rolling and she's just in the background like
But she's like starting to lose the smile. She keeps having to like bring it back. Yeah, she's so scary. Love
it's
it.
so good.
I have a question. Should I watch X before Pearl or
I didn't really you haven't seen X, have you, Pumpkin?
Mm-mm.
I haven't
No.
either.
I found them barely related.
okay.
And in fact, because Mia Goth is in both of them, but she, to my understanding from watching both of them, is playing like different characters.
Oh.
So like it's just kind of, like the only thing that really makes it a prequel is the fact that it's like in the same place. It takes place in like the same location, but she plays 2 different characters in him. So yeah, so that was good. And then we watched Wendell and Wild on Halloween
How
night.
was it?
That was really cute.
Was it good?
Yeah.
It was really cute. Yeah.
Yay.
I was telling Siberia, I thought it had like 1 or 2 elements too many, maybe, but like it was still really cute, and like the animation was fantastic and the story was cute and stuff. So that was great.
I haven't seen it yet, but one of my favorite like movie reviewers, he said he really liked it, but he felt like it was a little all over the place.
That's kind of how I felt. It was like,
okay,
if they had just reined it in like too little elements, I think it would have been a little bit of a cleaner story, but it was still like, you know, it's a little animated thing. It was cute. So
I need to watch it this week because the animation looks so good.
Amazing. Yeah.
I'm a slut for claymation.
And what did you do for
too.
Halloween?
Yeah, you go to those haunted houses?
Yeah, we went to some haunted houses. We kind of celebrated on Saturday since Halloween's on a Monday, and that sucks. But yeah, so Saturday we went to a few haunted houses that were all very fun, and then we went downtown and went to the Glurbs, and I was dressed as Pennywise, and
yeah, I saw that picture.
It was a hit with the normies. My one picture that's like
that
awful.
Really good high quality picture.
Yeah, but all the normies loved it, and I just like am such a, I don't know, I'm just such an idiot when I'm out, like, because I'm married for users listening.
Yeah, she's off the market, people.
Yeah,
but like we go to clubs and just like whatever, hang out with people. And this guy came up to me. I was like on the dance floor by myself, just like jamming out to music. And a guy came up to me and he was like, "Hey, what's your name?" Like he's like talking to me over the music. And I looked at him and I said, "I'm Pennywise, the dancing clown." And he was like, "Okay." Like, okay. Yeah, he's and I did that quite a few times. So people just like, and I just think it's just like the first thing that comes to my head, but I'm like, boy, normies and me, I don't know.
Don't mix.
Not gelling. Yeah, but I had a great time.
I would die laughing if you said that to me.
The look he gave me was like, okay, you fucking psycho.
I mean, I was dressed as Beetlejuice like for half the weekend, and like it was so fun interacting with people kind of in the same way. Like people would be like, "It's Beetlejuice," and I'd be like, "Oh, just say it 2 more times."
Yeah, just that's when we committing to the bit is like really fun, when you're just like,
so fun.
I don't give a shit. Yeah.
I went to the Village, which was like a haunted experience hosted by 13 Stories on the Georgia Renaissance Fairgrounds.
Yeah.
And okay, I have to say it actually scared me, which Netherworld did not, because it's outdoor and they had like actors. They had this girl who's like chained to the ground and she's just sitting there like Grudge with her hair over her face, sitting there staring at you, and then she gets up and she lunges at you, but the chain like yanks her back, and I was like, get
away from me. I'm already kind of a weenie when it comes to haunted houses. Like I think they're like fun and stuff, but I think I draw the line at like haunted corn mazes and stuff. I'm not being outside, bitch. I will be in a haunted house. I will not be in a haunted outside with people coming out of corn and shit.
And also a corn maze, like I don't want to have to find my way and also watch out for people scaring me
while I'm being hunted.
I'm not doing it.
There's one I want to do so bad. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but around here, there's one in Nashville, and it's like kind of all around, where it's like a camp out. And like you get tents and you stay, and there's like games that you play, and there's like a chicken area where you can go stand and you won't get scared. But like you could be sleeping in the middle of the night and you would hear like a chainsaw outside of your tent, and they'd like shake your tent or something. I want to do it so bad.
I want to do that.
I want to do it so bad.
No, absolutely not.
I like enclosed scariness. I don't like it being like, no, I like to know when it's going to start and when it's going to stop.
Me and Pumpkin can go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You two have fun, because that sounds fucking awful.
You can come and just stand in the chicken area.
Maybe I'll sit in the car. Intern at the haunted house for the night, and we can be the ones to scare you guys.
Yeah, I would do that. I would totally do that.
You guys could not scare me.
Yeah, you couldn't scare me.
And then all I did for Halloween was go out to the gay bars with my roommates. We had like 3 or 4 different costumes. We went like all out, baby.
Yay,
I was Shigo, Beetlejuice, Alvin from Alvin and the Chipmunks, and Aemond Targaryen.
Oh my god, you did so many over the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, she turned some looks. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, Halloween was my birthday, and I didn't do anything spooky. It was also my friend's birthday, so the 2 of us went out together for Korean barbecue. And they played Halloween K-pop songs, which I was very happy about. I love
I know.
An official happy birthday on the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you.
The Geeks officially wish you happy birthday.
I ordered you something like 2 weeks ago and it still hasn't shipped, so I need to follow up with someone. But just so you know,
I'm excited.
Thank
you. And then I just watched Nightmare Before Christmas because I feel like Nightmare Before Christmas, I have to watch it like on Halloween or like a couple days before. Because if you watch it, I feel like if you watch it too early in the month, now I'm in the Christmas spirit.
No.
You know?
I can watch it literally anytime. Beginning of October, end of October, beginning of November, end of December. I don't care.
Same.
I like it's like a tradition to watch it on Halloween.
You know, Nightmare Before Christmas is never one that really stuck for me.
Beep, beep.
Like,
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Lauren.
No, I like it and I think it's a good movie, but it's not one that I like grew up with, so it doesn't have any of that like nostalgia for me. So
okay. So for our first paranormal pick, I got to go first, and I chose the movie Hereditary. I love this movie so much. I can't wait to talk about it. I have so many notes. This is actually only the second time I had seen it too. I know, shocker, I know, but I didn't see it for the first time until not that long ago.
Like 8th or 9th time.
Oh my god, I've seen it so many times.
But I noticed so many more little clues this time around, and I was like, "Ooh, it makes so much more sense." I'm really excited.
So
well, I've seen it 3 times, but that's just because it mentally drains me.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
She's a lot.
Let's go around and give our thoughts and score. Kirsten, how about you go first?
I mean, I give it a 10 out of 10. There's like nothing wrong with this movie. I love this movie so much. Like my first 10 out of 10. Toni Collette's performance just like this director is just so good. Like the way that like and like seeing that scene again, like it just makes me cry every time. Oh, I'm getting cold chills every time I see that scene. Cold chills. Yeah, that's my review.
Okay, Siberia.
10 out of 10. Like 10 out of 10. It's so good. Like Toni Collette is so good. I call this like I was watching it again. And I was sitting here and I was like, this really is like the big Bessie of horror movies. Like this is like I feel like the hill to conquer if you want to like be like really scared. Like when I first showed this, Bella refused to watch this again with me. She literally was like in tears the first time we watched this movie. Like it's like it freaked her the fuck out. Like, but like rightfully so. Like it's a scary ass movie and it's done so well. Like it's just beautifully crafted. Like it's just a good movie. So yeah, 10 out of 10.
Lauren?
Well, as you can see, I'm in my payment shirt.
Hell yeah, I didn't even notice.
This is my favorite movie. Like truly no negative notes. It's a 10 out of 10 and it has been since the first time I watched it. This is the first movie I can really think of, especially in the horror genre, but like when I watched this for the first time, it was like a brain worm. Like I truly could not stop thinking about this movie for like 3 weeks after I watched it. And I watched it and then I went on a YouTube deep dive of like watching every YouTube video I could watch about it and watching interviews of the cast. And I was just like, and I think I had seen it maybe in theaters or had rented it or something, but I had to like wait to watch it again. But it was just like, I want to rewatch that movie so bad. And since it's been like out, I've seen it. I don't even know how many times. It's so good in every way. Again, like what you said, even beyond just being like a good horror movie, it's just a good movie. And the fact that Toni Collette does not win any awards for that performance is so crazy to me.
It's because nobody wants to nominate like horror
because it's a horror movie, which is like such bullshit because it's like one of the best performances in anything. It's so good. So yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 every single time I watch it. Love it.
Oh, I forgot to mention during mine. I remember the first time I watched this, like for a week straight, I was like seeing shadows out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, "What is that? What is that?" Like it's just like that's what it like got into my brain, and I started seeing shit. Like And I was like,
I will say though, seeing this in theaters was like a crazy experience because like usually in horror movies in theaters, there's some element of like levity. Like people are like, ha, ha,
yeah,
whatever.
right. This one
but,
is not
when
like that.
The scene happened.
Yeah.
Like you could have heard a pin drop. Like no one said a word.
Yeah.
not a word.
Like this movie just like hits hard, baby.
Yeah.
Because I watched it in theaters too, and it had such like a huge impact, like seeing it big like that.
Well, because there's also no escape. Like at home, you can pause or like turn a light on or whatever, but in the theater, you're like, okay.
And it's just like so fucked up the whole time, and you're just like, oh yeah. And it's not the kind of movie that has any like you said, levity or like comedic parts or anything. It's just the whole time you're just like, damn, god damn it. It's a hard one.
I didn't see this movie for the first time until it was either last year or like late 2020. I don't remember when I watched it, but I know I had never like I was a casual horror movie watcher up until the pandemic, honestly. But yeah, my this one was like a sneak attack for me because some friends at the time, they were like, oh, we'll do a horror movie marathon. We've been doing those during the pandemic. And so they were like, oh, these two movies are from the same director. So first we watched Midsummer, which
interesting.
is like kind of a mind fuck, but like not really that scary, just kind of like really disturbing. And I was like, oh, okay. And then so when we put on Hereditary, I thought it was going to be similar. And like, I was getting like the mind fuck vibes or whatever. And then once it like started getting scary, I was like, I don't want to watch this. And it like left me in a weird, both of those movies back to back, I was like in a weird headspace for like a week.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But even I watched it again last night, and I swear to God, I kept seeing things in the corners of my room. I was like, what the
was it Tony Collette? Was it Tony?
We've got pretty high ceilings in our living room, and I remember like when we watched it at home for the first time, it was like, ooh, suddenly the ceilings are a little scary. Now I don't like the ceilings.
Where'd she go? Where'd she go?
Where'd she go? But we'll get into that.
I also give it a 10 out of 10. I can't believe.
Wow.
This is our first perfect 40.
Yeah, wow.
We should start like tallying up the points like that.
I honestly don't think anything is going to be Hereditary though on the score wise.
I can think of movies that scared me more, but I really like that Hereditary, and I know some people feel some type of way about this, but I like that it's like smart horror. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
the term like elevated horror is like looked down on, but it definitely just has an element that is like,
well,
a little bit.
Yeah, it has
because people think it's like uppity or like annoying, or what is the word I'm looking for?
Hoity-toity.
Yes,
no,
sure.
It's elevated, but not in a way to where it's annoying. Because there's like
it's not pretentious.
That's the one.
Yes,
because there's like horror movies that people are like, this is elevated horror, and it's like annoying.
Like the fucking Lighthouse. That's like that's what I think of when I think
that is
like,
not a horror movie, and I don't
think
it is either. It's the worst movie I've ever seen.
But like,
I didn't even finish it.
Hereditary is like he just wants to make this. Or she is a female director, right? Or male?
Or yes, there's a man.
Okay, man. It just like makes this
his one bad thing.
I don't know if we know enough about him.
He just like makes films that are just good. Like that and Midsummer were good. I liked Hereditary more than Midsummer, but I still like Midsummer. Like, and I just like the way that he shows anguish, because both films have so much, like Tony Collette scream. Florence is like silent. That like
Florence is sobbing.
God, that's sobbing. It's just like the way that he like draws out these like sobs when something tragic happens. Oh my God.
And he just makes you sit with it.
Well, you have to sit with it and be like, so how do you relate to this? Think about that.
Yeah.
How do you relate to this?
And like, what in your life made you feel like this? Feel it now. I'm going to let you sit in those feelings. Like, please.
Now we're going to start the movie.
Yeah. Literally. That's like what it's like.
Yeah. I saw when I was looking for trivia, I saw that apparently Ari Aster said that he wanted to make a horror movie that takes suffering seriously. Because a lot of other horror movies don't really. Like characters die,
someone will die and it'll be like, oh no, and then they just like run away.
Yeah.
But to have someone die and it be like this crushing,
the crux of the movie.
Yes. Yeah, is, and especially when you think of like how this movie was marketed, because it was very heavily marketed around the daughter being like this creepy little girl, and then they kill her off in the first 10-15 minutes. Yeah, and it's like
30,
yeah, like literally what the fuck, because that was like the whole marketing of it was her doing that clicking noise, and like it was just showing her. So for her to be the one that like dies in it is like, oh,
I do
because like she's the catalyst for all the crazy shit happening.
Yeah.
I do remember that because I remember seeing her prominently in the trailer, so I thought more was gonna happen with Charlie, and
something happened with Charlie.
I mean technically
it's important,
Well, let's get into some trivia, although I feel like Lauren might know all of these already. So first bit of trivia, originally Hereditary was supposed to be a drama, just a family drama about grief. But then Ari Aster saw the potential in it to be a horror movie. So I think that's really fun. And I feel like you can kind of see that, like the way that the movie goes, you're like, this could have been not a horror movie, like if you just changed some things. The whole film was shot in 32 days. That's insane.
That's so
intense.
insane.
That's
Jesus
insane.
Christ.
That's crazy.
Intense month for Tony.
Yeah.
Okay.
Christ.
Fun little trivia. In the art store parking lot scene, the chalkboard Joan claims was her grandson's favorite is shown still packaged in the back of her car.
She's buying it. She had just bought it at the craft store.
Oh,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this bitch.
Detail. Yeah.
The sigil that's shown throughout the film is a slightly different version of the real seal of the demon Paimon, as shown in old texts of demonology, right there on the titty.
The titty.
On the titty. For our listeners, Lauren was shaking her titty, and it has a sigil on it, so that's why.
Just the one. The one.
Just one titty.
Just one.
The other titty was completely still. One of Peter's friends from underneath the bleachers can be seen at the end of the film as one of the town's cultists. When they're smoking at school, he's the character with a bun and a hoodie.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
So he was probably just pretending to be Peter's friend.
Probably.
Okay, and last one. During the party scene, so I had noticed at the party when Peter goes into that room to smoke with the other kids, they're like watching some like black and white movie, and I thought that was weird. I was like, why are they watching some old black and white movie? It's apparently an old black and white video of someone being beheaded on a guillotine.
Oh.
That's some foreshadowing.
But
Yeah, there's lots of little like foreshadowing things in the whole movie. I love them.
So many good tidbits.
Yeah,
throughout the whole thing.
Aren't Florence and the boyfriend from Midsummer's characters going into the hardware store as she's leaving?
I don't remember.
That was a little Easter egg that I saw.
Oh,
I didn't notice.
I didn't notice that either.
Because it really looks like them. Like it really does.
When does Florence go in a hardware store in Midsummer?
It's not supposed to be like during the plot of Midsummer. It's like just supposed to be their characters.
No, he's saying in Hereditary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even made that connection.
Like Tony's leaving and you see like a couple walk in and it's like kind of actually very obviously Florence Pugh if you like look at her.
Really? Oh, I'll have to like skip back and look at that.
Did he play? Wait, did he play in that movie then? Because
yeah.
Oh.
Because I think Ari Aster. I think I saw it from like a real source.
That's pretty cool.
And then throughout the movie there's like writing on the walls in the house. One of them says Liftoch Pandemonium, which translates to open the gates to hell or let in the demons.
Yeah.
Let them in, baby. Let them in.
I didn't find translations for any of the other ones. So if there are some, I don't know, but I just had that one.
Love it. I love it.
Love it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love a movie that like, because I have a terrible attention span. So if you leave me little Easter eggs and clues and some foreshadowing, then I'm really paying attention. I'm like so focused because I'm like looking all over the screen for other little hints. I'm like, oh, what's happening?
And I feel like that's how like
Yes.
how all of Hereditary is. It's just like you can watch it all at once and then you watch it the second time and it's like almost everything in it is like, oh, that's that, and that's this, and that's how that connects to this. And it's like, it's just how much, maybe, you know, when we say elevated horror, like that being kind of cringy, but it just being like, there's so much thought put into it, where a lot of other horror movies, while they could be great, maybe don't have as much like intention with every single thing that they're putting in it. And this one just does, and it's so good.
That's a good word. I like the word intention, because that's what it feels like. It feels like every shot and every like line and everything is very intentional.
Everything in the shot, like every prop and every how the lighting is, and it's just like it's all for a purpose.
And while I love a like turn your brain off, just have some fun, like slash your creature feature, whatever, I do also really love having to turn my brain on.
Yeah.
Because then I'm like, I feel like I'm more scared because I'm like so invested and I feel like I'm there with the characters, like what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
You know, it's scarier that way.
I would say the ones like that do actually scare me, like that, and like It Follows, all those little Easter eggs in there too.
I still haven't seen It Follows. I need to watch that.
Girl,
I know
get it together.
when that's gonna come into play. That's a paranormal movie.
It is a paranormal movie.
I was just gonna ask. I was like, when are you gonna be able to pick that movie? And I was like, that's a paranormal movie.
Maybe.
Paranormal movie.
We'll see.
Okay, maybe somebody. Okay, let's jump into the plot.
The plot.
Not Lauren and I recreating the faces.
We have our own memes.
Okay, chapter 1, Mommy Dearest. Miniature artist Annie Graham lives with her husband Steve and their kids Peter and Charlie. The movie opens with the family attending the funeral of Annie's secretive mother, Ellen. Later, Annie attends a bereavement support group where she reveals that she and her mother had a fraught relationship until Charlie was born. Meanwhile, Steve gets a phone call telling him that unknown perpetrators have desecrated Ellen's grave, but he doesn't tell Annie. I feel like there's a lot of setup there, so I'm going to end that one right there because I already have stuff I want to talk about.
I know. I'm already like, oh, wait.
I love all the little hints that like there's something fucking wrong with Ellen. Like even just immediately, nobody wants to go to the funeral. She's like, should I be sad? She's like, I don't know who any of the people here are. The creepy usher just like smiling at Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, who
when
the
she
fuck was
asked
this
outright
lady?
if she should be sad, I was like,
it's
your mom.
Hello.
Yeah.
Well, I can relate to that.
I know. I'm actually like, well, I know.
Well, that's happened. So.
Yeah, can relate.
But that's what makes it feel so real. Is like everyone has something in their family that is like very tumultuous, and just immediately we get that setup that like they've had some serious problems for a long time, and you know it's more and more revealed throughout the movie, but they just like immediately you're like, oh.
I think that's why also this movie resonates so much, is because when my dad passed away, I like didn't know him, so I was like, should I? And then I go there and I don't know anybody, and they don't even know that he had a daughter, and so it's just like, so that whole thing was like, I also like all the little tiny like hints, and they do it cleverly. It's not like she's allergic to peanuts. Like he's like, does this have nuts in it? You know what nuts does too. Like it's like little stuff like that that like sets up things that makes you remember. Just like brain work. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say though, there is a shot of Charlie because like obviously it's set up that she's allergic to nuts. But there's a scene where she's sitting at her desk and she's like making her like weird little fucked up puppets and shit. And there's peanut M&Ms. She's eating peanut M&Ms.
Oh, is she?
Because it's just like Payman he makes her allergic to the nuts so that all
he's
of
like,
those
it's not
sequence
time
of
for you to
events
die
happen.
yet.
Yeah, but there's like a scene where she's like straight up eating peanut M&Ms. I'm like, I just
And
love
there's
it.
no way that's not intentional. That's so cool.
Oh yeah. She's
That
just
is
like sitting
so
there, and it's
cool.
just like sort of a panning shot, but you can see, and she's just like sitting there.
He's munching and crunching, baby.
That's so cool. I didn't even know that.
I just love that, like, even from the very beginning, like establishing that she's like the miniature artist and that's gonna play like a part in the movie, and also just like the seamlessness of the like miniature shots to like the real ones, like when they're zooming in on the bedroom and he just like walks in through the door.
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah,
I have a fun fact about that. I forgot. The artist who made the miniatures had to work alongside the production team to make sure that every set looked exactly like the miniatures.
Yeah.
So they
I
worked
watched a
hard to
video
make
on it.
sure.
It's really cool.
That's so cool. I love like the attention to detail.
I do have a question of how much is a miniature artist making? Because they look like they have so much money.
That is a whole
I bet a lot.
Well,
I would guess a lot.
Steve is a psychiatrist, so I think he makes the money.
True.
But she's like making them for like museums and like rich people and shit. Like I bet they get paid a lot.
She's talking about deadlines and like galleries. Like
she might get a good amount of money. Did you guys notice? So Charlie's drawing during the funeral is she like draws her mom giving a speech, and the way she draws her mom looks like a fucking monster, and you're like, Charlie, why'd you draw her like that? But then now that you know, like, I know, then you're like, oh,
I see. Yeah, just even like things that she says to her, like, who's gonna take care of me? And Tony's like, hello, like me and your dad. And she's like, yeah, but when you die,
a likely story.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I see that.
Yeah, I remember the first time I watched this, I just kind of thought Charlie was just like a really weird kid. I was like, what is up with this child? Why does she act like this? And then upon the second rewatch, you like start to notice all the little clues.
Well, because you obviously like from the trailers and from the way that like you obviously think she's the problem.
Yeah.
You think she's gonna be the issue.
Yeah.
And then she brings up the whole thing of like, grandma wanted me to be a boy. And it's like, oh no. Yeah.
Yeah, she sure did.
Also, in the I think have you talked about the part where she goes to like her first like self-help meeting?
Yeah.
In that part, she's talking about
her brother,
how her brother committed suicide because she's saying it so casually that you wouldn't even catch it, but she's like, my brother killed himself because he was saying that our mom was trying to put people inside of him. It's like because the mom was trying to transfer payment to the brother and he killed himself.
Yeah. So she also said her mom had been diagnosed with multiple personality disorder.
Yeah.
That's probably because she had a demon in her.
Yeah, like was she really? Or?
Yeah, when she starts just rattling off all the things, and you're like,
dude, that support group looks so uncomfortable. They're all like,
I felt like a crazy person watching this with like Bella and Jackie showing it to them for the first time because like I was just realizing like that was like the foreshadowing for like payment and stuff. And I was sitting there like,
and they're like,
what the fuck is
like
happening?
Literally
What do you mean? And I was like, oh my god.
It's all coming together.
Yeah, because the second time, it's like you said, the second time you watch it, you see the stuff, and you're like,
yes,
there are things.
You're like Charlie Day with the rope with the string on the board.
Yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio
together.
Yeah.
I like that when Charlie and her mom are like talking later, like Annie like says some stuff that I feel like in most contexts like wouldn't be weird, but then like because you kind of know what's going on, she's like, grandma always had to be the one to feed you, and then later you see the miniature of her trying to like breastfeed Charlie, and then she was like saying that Charlie never cried as a baby and all that. It's like, ooh,
yeah,
I love
and
that.
also, like the name Charlie can also be like seen as very masculine.
Charles. Yeah.
Well, her brother's name was Charles. Annie's brother's name was Charles, the one that killed himself.
It's we have a brain between all of us.
Theory, from my understanding, Payman is in Charlie the whole time.
Yeah,
like her whole life. So, and that's why the grandmother has like
Nurtures
taken
her.
it's because like Payman is in her the whole time, but she's not like the ideal host, so it's not.
And is that why she's like socially like not there?
I would imagine so. She's got a demon half living inside.
Probably the demon.
Yeah, it's probably if I had to like take a guess on what it could be, I would say the demon. Yeah, it's probably the demon.
Have you guys seen the actress that plays Charlie on TikTok?
I have.
Yes.
I think she's awesome.
She's done some like funny memes like with her trend, and I'm like,
No, whenever
and I know she's listening, we love you.
we love you.
Yeah.
Okay, chapter 2 on nuts. Peter is invited.
Too soon, maybe? Too soon?
No.
Okay. You do not have to say that
That's
again.
what you're titling this chapter, huh?
Ah,
It's gonna encompass this whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Nuts.
It's just the rest of the movie.
Yeah. There's only 2 parts.
Well, the first one was very short, and then the rest of it. Okay. Peter is invited to a party, and Annie insists on Charlie going with him. On the way to the party, the siblings pass a telephone pole carved with an old sigil. At the party, Peter leaves Charlie unattended, and Charlie, who has a severe nut allergy, eats chocolate cake containing walnuts and goes into anaphylactic shock. As Peter drives Charlie to the hospital, she leans out of the window for air. When Peter swerves to avoid a dead deer, she is decapitated by the telephone pole. In shock, Peter drives home and leaves Charlie's body in the car, where Annie discovers it the following morning.
I literally got cold chills when you started describing it again.
The first time I saw this, I had zero warning. And again, I thought this was going to be like Midsummer. So when that happened, I was like, oh.
This is like maybe my favorite sequence in any movie ever.
It's so good.
It's so good.
So stressed for the two of them, and then that happens. Oh
but,
my!
And the way when he's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
I don't know. He doesn't say anything.
No, he
doesn't say anything.
No, he doesn't talk.
He like tries to like talk to her, like she's in the back seat, and he tries to like say something.
He does say okay.
He says okay.
Like, he starts to look in his rearview mirror, and he
like starts to look up and then looks away quickly
because you're seeing it like from his POV, and he like looks up and then he looks down, and he just goes okay.
But I distinctly remember him like starting to try to call out to her and then stopping because he's like,
unknown. But yeah, just that whole, like the whole setup, even starting like when they're back at the house and he's having such an uncomfortable conversation with his mom where he's like, I'm going to this party and she's like, sister? Yeah, she's like, take your sister. And he's like, I don't know, like if she wants to go. And she's like, did you ask? I don't know. There's that, like that conversation is just so uncomfortable. And the setup at the party and then like how it all escalates. And from when it happens to him, just like driving home in silence, going up to his bed, you see him like not sleep all night up until the point where he hears in the morning, like he can hear his mom being like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store.
Oh my god,
she comes out and and it's like in the distance and you can hear her seeing it, and it's just like the way it all plays out is like truly.
I'm like literally tearing up as you're like describing.
I'm getting cold chills.
It's like the worst.
Incredible. And that's not even considering like her reaction to it. Like if that's where we're cutting it off.
And the fact that she can convey that, and we don't even, she's 50 feet away from the camera and we know exactly how she feels.
And we're just looking at him and his reaction to hearing her is just
and also, I'm so sorry, but she's like, so no head.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
That was definitely too soon.
I can't even, like, I was trying to think, like, what would I even do in Peter's shoes? And I can't even like say I would handle the situation any better. I think I would also just be like
the shock. I mean, like,
okay.
Yeah, I
have to go home.
Picture the scenario for myself.
Well, that's like people kept talking about. It's like, well, why did you just drive home? It's like, he's in shock. He
What's he
doesn't
gonna
know
do?
what the fuck to do. He just decapitated his sister. Like,
what are you
Like,
gonna go to the hospital?
And also, he's high as fuck.
Yeah,
that
seriously, yeah, that would not make that any more fun. Oh my god.
Yeah,
And
I was like,
he
I
was
don't know
probably
what I would do.
he was probably already feeling like so guilty because he left her alone and she's having this like,
he was like, this is my fault.
I mean, the way he's like carrying her to the car, like I felt so awful for him. He's trying so hard to be a good big brother, but like his little sister's weird. His mom doesn't know how to like handle either of them.
Yeah.
And then
but
this
now he's
happens.
only gonna be remembered as a terrible but big brother.
Yeah. Like
because he killed her.
And I love that they show that the pole has the payment sigil on it because you can, it's just like, oh, it was all a setup for payment to make her allergic to the nuts. And they like the cult members probably like put the deer in the road and to have it all like line up is just, it's just so cool how they do it.
But did you guys pay attention? Like every time he's at school, Peter's at school, what the teachers are talking about?
It's all like a metaphor for what's going on.
Yeah. I didn't catch that the first time. And then I like, first I was just like, I was paying attention to like what Peter's paying attention to. And then I was like, wait, what is the teacher talking about? And I rewind a little bit and I was like, oh.
Yeah, because he's giving that lesson on like, is it more or less tragic if something happens is like always meant to happen, or if you can like decide the course of it is like which one is more tragic. And it's like, that's what's happening.
Yeah, they were talking about it at one point and they're like, why is it so bad? Because I think they're all pawns in this and they really have no choice in anything. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I like your funny words, Magic Man.
Charlie cutting the bird's head off.
Just in the playground, just open air, daylight.
And then she makes a toy. She makes a toy out of it and like nobody notices.
I mean, it's kind of a serve though. Like use your resources. It was already dead.
Crafty queen.
Honestly, we have to give her props.
Use, reuse, recycle.
Yeah, that bird was no longer useful.
And they show one of the cult members like across the street watching her.
Yeah.
And they're all over. Yeah, they're always watching her.
And they're like, he's still doing okay.
Yeah, because that's the kind of thing. It's like the first time you watch it, you'd be like, what the fuck? And then the second time you watch it, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, it actually took me a few times to watch it because I was like, who's this blonde lady? We don't see her again.
She's just one of them. She's one of the eyes.
Because I was like, it's not Ann Dowd. It's not like the girl from like the seance.
I forgot something I wanted to say about the last part. I just thought it was funny when Annie goes to the support group and the guy's like, oh, you know, new people, whoever's like new to the group can go first, whatever. And Annie starts to talk and she's like, I don't think I can. He's like, no pressure. But then they all just sit there and like stare at her. And she's like, okay, well, I guess I have to talk.
This is the definition of pressure.
This is pressure, but thanks.
What's the lady's name that like
Joan?
Yeah, Joan.
Fuck Joan.
I know. I love all of her scenes too, because there's like their first meeting at the support group thing. And it's like anytime Annie starts to pull away, Joan will just be like, she'll just say something to kind of get her back in. So it's like she was going to leave and she's like, my grandson died. And then she's like, oh, and then gets her back in the conversation.
I have the perfect fix for this, please.
Yeah,
please.
She just like, and she does it again when they're in the craft store parking lot. Like she's definitely saying stuff, but she's also, if you look at her body language, she's like, Annie keeps trying to like turn and go away, and she keeps just like putting her hand on her shoulder and like physically keeping her part of the conversation. But it looks very, just like
genuine.
Oh yeah, but then when you're watching it, you're like, oh, she's like holding her there, like it's just crazy.
I knew she was evil because she's Aunt Lydia in Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, don't judge her on her past roles.
Joan
she does a great job in the performance. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Joan reminds me of some very specific ladies at church, so I immediately didn't like her. I was like,
there's some Baptist in her.
It's the opposite kind of church, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For kind of church.
I know it was supposed to be scary, but for some reason, it made me laugh both times when Annie like turns around and her grandma's ghost or her mom's ghost is standing there just like cheesing.
Just in the dark.
It just made me laugh because of the way her grandma's smiling. Just
She said, "Hey,
Hey.
do I
But
feel
love-
good?"
That's another thing I love is that they don't like another movie would play that as a jump scare, but they just have it like silent and it's almost scary. And it'll just be like her turning on the light or something and then she's gone. But it's like that could so easily be played as a jump scare, but they just play it as this like this. It's like the same sort of feeling you would have if you're scared of something at home, like you're just looking at something and it's quiet and it's like you're freaking yourself out because you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's the use of music because when that happens, it's so silent. So like it's kind of like
Yeah.
What I love about this movie though, like, is like that thing because I was watching something about jump scares specifically earlier this week, and it was saying like jump scares like give you that sense of relief after, which is not necessarily a good thing in a horror movie. Where this movie, like, there's not a single jump scare, I would argue. So like,
not
maybe
really.
one with like the attic door,
Yeah, but is that a jump scare? I don't know.
But like, you never get the sense of relief in this movie. You're always just like, ow!
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I think
which just makes it so much more effective to me.
Yeah, same. I think the only like moment I would call a jump scare is when like Peter realizes that Annie's over there and she like runs after him and then he starts running.
Yeah, okay,
sure.
I would give
Maybe a jump scare, but yeah, otherwise there's like
but
none
there's no
in
like
this
loud
movie.
music bang.
No,
I
love that. I love that. I feel like all the scariest moments are like silent. It's so creepy. I thought it was like I don't know if it was just like a random scene or if there was like symbolism in it, but when Charlie sees her grandma's ghost sitting with her back to her with like the grass on fire, I was like, does this like symbolize anything, or is it just something Charlie's seeing?
Yeah,
I don't know.
because also like wouldn't that like would it blow the cover? Like, is she supposed to know she's Payman yet? Like, that just seems like a weird thing to just like see.
I think it's a vision. It's not really happening because the grandma.
Oh yeah,
dead,
absolutely.
So.
I do kind of wonder like how much Charlie like knows or can sense, or like if there's just moments where Payman takes over, or
I think that's it. I think there's probably.
But like, as a child, she has to know she's like different. You know?
Yeah.
Like, whether she knows it's Payman or not, like, she's like, no one else draws in their sketchbook these weird ass things like me.
Yeah.
No one else cuts off bird heads in the playground. Like, you know, you have to know.
Yeah.
She built different.
I'm built different.
I also liked the setting, like where this movie is, because like it's like beautiful and serene, but then also like when Peter's trying to get Charlie to the hospital, you realize like they're like in the middle of the wilderness. Like the hospital is so far away.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just felt like I just loved that, like it almost kind of lures you in with its beauty, and then you realize like, oh my god, I'm alone. Like help is really far away. I liked that contrast. Chapter 3. This bitch ain't your friend. Annie befriends support group member Joan, and Joan teaches Annie to perform a seance to communicate with Charlie. Later that night, Annie convinces her family to attempt the seance. Peter is petrified when Annie speaks in Charlie's frightened voice until Steve douses her with water. As Peter begins to be plagued by supernatural forces, Annie suspects Charlie's spirit has become malevolent. When she sees images in Charlie's sketchbook threatening Peter, she throws the book into the fireplace. However, her clothing catches fire alongside the book and only stops when she pulls it away. Annie goes through her mother's old belongings, where she finds a photo album featuring pictures of Joan and Ellen together. In the attic, Annie finds Ellen's body and occultist symbols.
Oh my gosh, we covered a lot.
Yeah, that was
weird.
I do not like Joan.
No.
Fuck that bitch.
Really? I think she's so nice.
I feel like even though you covered a lot in that section, we skipped over how much like distress there is between Annie and Peter's relationship. They have all of these conversations.
I am your mother.
Oh, so good.
It's a punt. Like, I get that you're suffering. I get it. oh, I want to punch you so bad. Stop talking to
Face
him
off
like
your
that.
face.
Yeah.
Such an
Wipe that
iconic
fucking face
scene.
off your face.
So we talked about, because we stopped like right when she found
Found her body. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh my
so
gosh.
that whole scene, like where she's screaming, and then it just goes to the head. I
Ugh.
remember in the theaters just being like, I think I covered my mouth. I was like,
Yeah, it's fucked. All covered in ants and shit.
Oh
Oh,
my
that whole
God.
from the moment Charlie lost her head to the moment that we like see the head, that whole like the whole time I was just like, I
Oh,
can't
I was
believe
like-
this is in a movie. I can't
Yeah,
believe
I was
this
like,
is happening.
we lost it. I didn't want to find it again.
Uh-huh.
Like, I didn't have to
I
see
did
it
not
again.
want to see what happened after.
And
I
then it
was
just-
so good.
yeah, and then it just jumps to her just like screaming, I want to die. I just want to die.
know.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my
the literal worst shot of a movie ever.
And-
Every time I watch it, I want to throw up.
And it
It's-
pans to Peter just like standing and
Standing
listening in the
there.
hallway.
Can I
Oh.
The first time that I saw this, at that point when they panned to Peter like standing there in the hallway, like still,
Uh-huh.
I thought Peter was evil or possessed or
Oh.
something.
Oh.
I thought that's where the movie was going. And so then I
Mm.
was like, I feel like that's the other thing is like the first time you watch this movie, there's a lot of like, wait, Charlie's evil. Oh, wait, Charlie's dead.
Yeah.
Peter's evil. Wait,
Right.
Oh, wait, no,
Annie's
Peter's
evil.
just
You're like, what's
scared.
happening?
Yeah.
Peter's just like, oh, and the dad, I feel like, is just trying his best.
Oh,
Trying
he's such
his
a good
best.
dad. Like,
He's just like, did you sign up for your SAT stuff?
Yeah,
oh,
he's like, you got your SAT prep.
Oh, he's just this sweet man, and he's just trying his best. I feel very
And like
bad
he
for him.
even sticks up for him, like when she's like making that like miniature, and he's
Uh-huh.
like, do not let Peter see this.
Yeah.
Are you out of your
Yeah.
mind? Like,
Yeah, when she's making a miniature,
like,
like,
what are
of
you
the car
doing?
accident. Yeah, it's so.
yeah.
And she's like, "What? It's an objective view of the
I'm
accident."
processing my trauma.
It's like, babe, I don't
It's
know
an
if they're
objective
Yeah.
of the scene. And it's like, you didn't have to. No one asked.
yeah,
No one
literally.
had to.
Annie does that thing I hate when like obviously something is wrong and you are not okay and you just put on
Uh-huh.
this nonchalant like, why would anything be wrong? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because your
hate that.
I'm good.
head got cut off and you're making a model of it.
And she has that like dream where she like goes in Peter's room
Oh,
and then
that's
like,
one of my
Oh
favorites.
my
Yeah.
fucking God.
and then
One
she
of my
like,
favorites.
it's so good.
Ants.
And she tells him about how, yeah, she sees the ants, and then he like wakes up. So you think that was a dream,
Uh-huh.
and then it becomes a dream again. Like, and like when
Well,
she's
'cause-
like talking about how I didn't even want you, like I was
Yes.
forced to have you, and it's just like,
Well, because they've set up like that she sleepwalks and that she's had like this traumatic sleepwalking experience where she like almost killed Peter and Charlie. And so you think it's like, you don't know if she's sleepwalking or not. It feels like a real scene because we just saw her wake up, and this interaction they have where he just says, why do you hate me? And she's like, I never wanted to be your mom. And then it just keeps snowballing.
And
And
she
she's
just-
like, I
it's-
tried to have an abortion
Oh.
and like all this stuff. And and they slowly become more and more wet. Like they're
Yeah.
both covered in
Yeah.
the lighter fluid.
It's so
and then it
good.
lights, and you're just like, what is going on?
And her face, like all the like any cut of her
Yes.
face where she's like in that screaming.
it's so
God,
scary.
her silent screams that she does in this, like it's so good.
So good.
It's so powerful.
I also noticed when she first stops to talk to Joan, I know she words it. She says, "My daughter was killed, not my daughter died." And I was like,
Mm.
"You bitch, Peter
Yeah.
didn't mean to."
No.
Yeah, when she phrased it that way, I was like,
Peter was trying to save her.
Oh.
it's like it's not Peter's fault. Like,
I'm sorry, but she's 13. She should know to check a cake for walnuts.
Honestly, though, like, yeah, you're 13 and you know you have a nut allergy. Be like, yo, they're nuts in this.
I did feel like she definitely acted younger than her age.
yeah,
And I
wouldn't
we're
have thought
forgetting
that.
that she's infested by a demon.
Yeah.
That's like actively trying to kill her.
Yeah.
I guess.
think it I just thought it was kind of like sweet, or at least like a good little like non-toxic masculinity moment when Peter starts to have like a freak out he's like smoking with his friends under the bleachers, and he starts to have like a freak out. He's like, I can't breathe. And he like asks his friends to hold his hand, and they're all just like concerned for him, and they hold his hand.
I know. I really like that scene too.
I liked that none of them were like, bro, what the fuck? Ooh.
Yeah.
I was really glad.
There may be demons, but we're not going to forget mental
health. And can we just like for a moment talk about the iconic dinner scene with the screaming match?
Yeah. It was so uncomfortable. I felt I was Steve. I was like, shut up. We can't. I don't want this conversation. No. Stop talking. Please, Annie, stop talking.
Raise your voice at me.
Oh, it's so good. Because I would say like up through that scene, it's really, you wouldn't know what the horror element of this movie is. Because up through that, it's just like this intense, horrific family drama. And it's not until she goes to the seance that it's like, oh, there's like, it's kind of like an unexpected.
At first I didn't realize there was a paranormal element because it starts off just very realistically.
Yeah,
and that's just for like a lot of the movie is just them like dealing with this death in their family, and then they do the seance, and then when Annie gets it all, she wants to try it at her house. And it works, and then she brings the family down, and that moment where she says hello in Charlie's voice.
It's like, so scary.
It's so scary.
So good.
Like, it's such a simple effect, but you're like, okay.
Yeah. The way Peter reacts in that scene too, when he's just like, Mom, please stop. Mom, please stop. And he's just like so freaked out, and it's so believable. Oh.
Because I've been like, because you've been there, like when you're like panicking, you're like, okay, no, it's enough. Please stop. Please stop.
Yeah. I also like, because I'm like more critical and I don't like believe in ghosts or anything. I've definitely like had myself in Steve's shoes when he's like, Annie, like fucking quit, stop. Because he doesn't like think anything paranormal is happening. He thinks his wife is crazy. Yeah. And is like doing this to like torture their son. And he's just like angry, and he's like, stop it. And so I was like definitely in like Steve's shoes the whole time, because I was like, I would be pissed too. I'm like, this shit's not funny. And you need to go to like an asylum.
He's just trying to like move on, because like he lost a daughter too, and he's just trying to like process it and move on from it. And so every time she's like, wait, is Charlie in here? And he's like, can you not do that? Like it's every single time.
Because like men are supposed to be like tough or whatever.
That's why I feel. I feel so bad for him, because like it's like he's trying to like make things better for everybody else, that he doesn't really have time to really process anything either, because he's got his wife that's like, she keeps losing people, and so like she's got all this trauma, so he's having to like help her, and like he's got to help Peter because of all that stuff that happens, so he doesn't really get to process anything.
I feel so bad for him.
I do love when he sees the thing on how to do a seance, he says, what language is even that?
What language is even that?
What language is even that?
It's
but
such
like,
a good way to
honestly,
word it.
same. I'll lose my grammar if I get scared enough.
Also, Annie should have known it was a red flag when Joan was like, I don't know what language it's in. Just say it like word for word verbatim. Just
okay,
go ahead,
have fun.
Say this at your house with your whole family, especially your son present.
Well, and she immediately,
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Annie immediately clocked that it was weird that Joan has like the same doormat that her mom made their whole family. And she was still like, no, I'm gonna trust this girl. I was like, Annie, you dumb bitch.
She has good taste in doormats.
It's just like, oh, my mom embroidered the same thing.
Yeah, she's like, we have like the exact same one at home. And my mom like handmade it. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Dink. Let's do a seance.
That's when I was like,
Suspicions.
I was immediately suspicious of Joan. The way she like keeps grabbing Annie and touching her arms and not letting her walk away. I was like, get your fucking hands off her.
Your grubby little payment hands.
Oh, I thought she was just like a weird old lady, but like as soon as she was like, oh, my mom has that same embroidered thing, I was like,
what you mean?
That's suspicious.
If she had embroidered it, why do you got it too?
Apparently I'm a detective.
Where did you get us up to on that last one?
Yeah, well, where are we?
We ended at her finding her mom in the attic.
Oh yeah, that part.
Yeah, she's all nasty up there.
Yeah, she don't look too good.
Oh, there's another little, just like, it's such a small tidbit, but there are scenes like before shit starts hitting the fan, but there are scenes like when the family gets home from stuff and you can very faintly hear footsteps in the attic because there's like already people in the house doing shit in the attic. I know. It's like such a little detail, but it's like they'll just get inside and you'll hear like because they're up in the attic.
That's horrifying.
That is so horrifying.
I didn't notice. I hate that.
Yeah.
Looks like I have to watch it again.
I feel like I gotta go back and listen to that now.
But yeah, Annie like keeps forgetting that Charlie's dead. But I wonder if it's because she subconsciously knows that Charlie's not. Well, Payman's not dead, so Charlie's not dead.
Yeah, because Charlie was never Charlie.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, which that was also kind of like when Annie gets possessed by Charlie, I was like, is it Charlie? Because whatever Joan summoned at her house was not her grandson. Like, is it Payman with us acting? Or like,
my guess is that she was sort of doing like a magic trick, like some sort of like magnets or something to just make it look like something was happening, because like because like Payman, Charlie, wherever Payman is now wasn't there, you know? So I think that was just sort of like a sleight of hand to get
Tony on board.
Yeah.
That happened though, because her hands were like present.
Well, I don't know what she did, but you know,
I just assumed it was either some like either Payman like agreeing to like act to help get what he wants, or it's like some other just demon, and Joan was like, yeah, cool, we'll roll with this. Like,
I'll work with you.
Yeah, because
whoever the fuck you are.
I've watched videos and it gets a little muddy even for me, because I don't know where Payman goes when Charlie dies, but at a certain point when it is like when he's brought back in the seance, it's like it's in Charlie's journal, and then so that's like when Annie tries to burn it in the fire and it like catches her on fire because like Payman won't allow himself to be burned. So it's like it's in the journal, and then there's a part where it like maybe goes into the dad and then
he lights on fire.
Yeah, so it's like it gets a little bit like I don't exactly know where he is,
because I thought that maybe like because that scene when he's smoking a bowl and he starts coughing and his throat starts closing up for some reason, I thought that was like some
him
kind
trying
of
to get in.
Yeah, some kind of like thing.
Oh, like Charlie throwback.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was just having like a panic attack because he was thinking about Charlie and he was high.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Okay, let's see. Chapter 4 is the last chapter. Heavy is the crown. While Peter is outside his school, Joan appears and attempts to expel his spirit from his body. In class, he's taken over by an unseen force and slams his head into his desk. Annie informs Steve of her discoveries in the attic and implores him to burn the sketchbook. When Steve accuses Annie of being ill, Annie seizes the book and throws it into the fireplace, but Steve erupts into flames. As Annie looks on, she becomes possessed. Peter awakens to find his father's charred corpse by the fire and nude coven members in the house before possessed Annie chases him into the attic. Peter watches Annie decapitate herself with a piano wire before diving out of the attic window to escape. As Peter lies on the ground, the spirit of Payman possesses him, and Annie's headless corpse levitates into Charlie's treehouse. The now possessed Peter follows his mom into the treehouse. There he finds Joan, the other coven members, the headless corpses of his mother and grandmother, and Charlie's crowned severed head resting atop a mannequin.
I'm sorry, all I could think of is that TikTok where it's like Crab Rangoon. And it's her
Crab Rangoon
floating
into the treehouse. Oh man.
Anyways, Toni Collette's like silent scream there again, and then switches over to
that
like
switch.
Oh,
so
when
good.
she goes,
Yeah, which because she's like herself, and then it comes into her, and she just like,
and it's so good.
It's so scary.
But taking a
When
step
she's
back to
banging
Peter at
her head on the
school,
attic door.
we got to take it back to Peter at school because
Yes.
that scene happens first.
This is his best work, Mama.
Oh, so good when he looks into the glass case and like it's his
smiles.
His, like, reflection is smiling at him.
Last night in Soho.
Yes, yeah, and I've watched stuff. He did all of that, like slamming his face on the desk and stuff. He did that all himself, like didn't have a stunt double or anything.
On Naked Brothers band.
And when he like comes up and he's got the payment hand, he's like, he's doing it. He's doing the payment hand when he puts his arm up like that, and his fucking eyelashes all like up. Oh, he looks crazy in that scene. I love it.
So good.
It's insane. Yeah, when he like screams and like backs up and throws the desk, like he's so good.
Yeah, you're done. Good. You're done for, guy. You just gotta.
And then Steve was taking him home, and he like just sits there and starts like crying in his car. I was like, poor Steve.
I've got to take care of my son.
Like, I just wanted to have a family.
Oh, he was a good dad. It's so
he's such a good dad.
Was
so bad.
Okay, and then we have to talk about the iconic Tony being possessed and up in the corner.
I love this
shot so much because the way it's set up, it just looks like you were watching a shot of Peter. He's like waking up and he's just kind of like sitting on the edge of his bed, and you don't see it for so long. And then you like in the very corner in the back in the darkness, Toni Collette's character is just like up on the ceiling. And instead of it being a jump scare when she moves, it's just like silent.
I laugh every time
she swims away.
I even think the first time I saw it, I like, because I was in theaters with Mom, and I was like, I think my mom had to be like, do you see that? And I was like, oh.
This was the moment when I was watching it with Bella, where like it had been like I think 15 or 20 seconds into the scene, and like she's sitting there, and I just go, do y'all see her? And that's when Bella goes breaking down into tears.
Yeah, the first time I watched this, they're panning away from Peter, and I was just kind of like, okay. And then like as soon as I noticed her, I was like,
so freaky.
I think the silent scuttle is terrifying because it's
her swimming away is really funny.
Stuff on the counter, and she's also still behind him in the corner.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I hate that so creepy much.
And then there's the chase scene, and he gets up into the attic, and she's like banging her head on defying gravity, like banging her head.
Oh my god!
The first time the
camera like flipped.
Yeah.
The first time I watched that, as soon as I saw her banging her head, I was watching it like this. I was like, hey guys, I don't know about this movie. I don't want to watch this.
Oh god,
so scary.
And then we get the iconic
like, Mom, stop.
Oh, when he starts calling her mommy, I was like, awesome. Oh, Peter.
And then
can I tell you guys a secret?
Yeah.
Whenever Joe and I are in a situation where we just like want to die, like a social situation, we'll just look at each other and go,
that's so good.
It's our silent cue that we just want to be dead.
That's smart.
He was crazy for that though. She said,
if I would have known that you did that, there's so many times at Dragon Con, I would have been like,
I would like to die now.
You guys can join our secret circle.
Now everyone's gonna know.
Damn it.
All 28 of them.
Steve is funny though, because there's the when Annie's like, oh, please go look in the attic, please just go look, like my mom's body and whatever, and she says, and there's more, and he says, you mean more than your mother's headless body? Of course there is.
He's so over it.
He's like, what else could go wrong?
The first time I watched it, like the relief that fled over me when the flies actually came down from the attic, I was like, okay, she's real. She's actually in the attic. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Something is real in this movie.
Well, they set that up like early on when he's got that phone call and it says that her grave has been desecrated.
Right. I didn't think she was up in the attic though.
Well, and Steve says, he's like, well, what does that mean? And it's like, they just told you that her body was gone.
That makes me that this like little tidbits that Steve says that it makes you laugh, like that part where he's like desecrated. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like,
The
what do you think it means?
Him
Excuse me.
catching on fire instead of Annie was so unexpected. The first time I watched it, I was like, huh? What? Huh?
I was like, not that he deserved nothing.
He did nothing wrong. We stand
Justice for Steve 2022. I'm still mad about it.
He just married into this family.
Yeah.
Yes.
He goes, I did not ask for any of this shit.
Dad of the year.
I will say at first when you see like the naked cult members, I thought they were ghosts, and then I was like, oh,
Same.
they're just real people in your house.
Actual naked people.
They're just like dicks out people in your attic.
Yeah.
Okay,
that
cool.
man just standing there teasing with his dick out. He was just like, hello.
To have the free spirit of him.
I wish that was me.
I do have a question. Because like in the beginning of the movie, she reads that letter, and her mom's like, our sacrifice is gonna make it all worth it or whatever. Like, what do they actually get?
Isn't it Charlie?
Oh, like,
I mean, like
the cult members get?
Yeah.
Well, Payman is a demon of like knowledge. That's like what, because in like, not if you believe in any of it, but like Payman is like one of the demons of hell, and he's the demon of like knowledge and science. So that is their thought process, is that if they can like bring Payman to their world, then they will have, like, as his cult members, they will have access to like the knowledge and science and power that Payman can provide.
For the work they went through, I hope they do. I hope they get the knowledge.
That seemed like hard. A lot of work.
I stand.
You went dicks out for Payman, and you should be rewarded.
So in a lot of art, Jesus is shown with his hand like this, and then
so is Bahamut.
The
That's above, so below.
Yeah, and the Payman like mannequin is doing it like upside down. Which if you turn any like Christian symbol upside down, like a cross or whatever, it's he's basically like fuck Jesus.
Wait, I have information on this.
Yeah.
So Baphomet is like the physical, he's, the goat head, whatever. Baphomet is always shown with his hands like this. And this stands for as above, so below. And it's like meant to represent like as it is in our plane of existence, so it is like in the opposite plane of existence. So Baphomet is always shown with the as above, so below hands, and so is Payman. But he had like Payman arm. He's
yassified.
Yeah, he's yassified.
Is he,
Is he,
Also, did you guys notice
Payman
another thing Charlie had drawn in her sketchbook? She drew a pigeon head with a crown on it.
Yeah.
Which that's all she was trying to do. She was cutting out her bird head off for a reason. Yeah, I was just trying to make him his crown.
Head cutting off symbolism in it.
Don't know head.
He also has the Payman mannequin has like a halo on the crown. So like, which would like insinuate that he's the savior. So I wonder if this cult believes like Payman it would be their salvation and not Jesus. That's also like why he does the thing upside down. Yeah.
The fact that it's Charlie's head is just
crazy.
As soon as like you can like that like it's like Charlie Payman's in, and you just hear that he does that, and you're like,
he's in there,
and you're like, there it is.
Yep.
I am very curious, like what happens afterward.
Hereditary 2.
Hereditary sequel. I'd watch it.
It's an exorcism movie.
Hereditary.
Boo! Keep Payman there. Let him thrive.
He worked hard. Let him live there
in
Peter's
hard for this body. So hard for this body.
Like I just want like a Payman Shenanigans on Earth, like spin-off TV show.
Yes.
Although I feel like Peter at the end, he just looked confused. So I was kind of like, is Payman in him? Because he's not like rejoicing or anything. He just looks like is it Charlie's spirit in Peter, but it's not Payman or something.
So from what I have gathered,
Mhm.
when he falls from the window,
Mm-hmm.
Peter dies. You
Right.
see Payman enter in him.
Okay.
And so he is Payman when he like goes up and it does all that, but it's just like him being fully realized with a physical form. So that's why
For
he's
the
like
first time in a long time.
Yeah, that's why he's like
okay.
and that's why Joan is like telling him all of the information at the end. She's like, "You're Payman.
Right.
We got you here."
Get it together. Come on, get your wrists a going.
Right.
I just thought it was like so weird that like they finally bring back their like king demon, whatever, and he's just kind of like, what the
He's
fuck?
like, duh.
He's like,
What's going on?
Can I go back?
Why are these people naked? Ew.
Can I go back?
I got dicks out.
Dude, them kneeling there and their
penises
dicks
out?
are just hanging. I was like, could you
He's like,
move
like,
the camera
literally-
to a different angle?
Why
like,
y'all
literally-
free-balling in a treehouse? What's
like literally
happening?
when
Why
did
are
I
we
say
in
that
here?
your penis needed to be out?
Yeah.
That movie's so good.
It's
I
so
love
good.
Hereditary.
It is so good.
Good.
Like, perfect film. We dubbed it.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's Eeks and Geeks approved.
So the stamp of approval.
We need a stamp. We need a physical
Has
stamp.
anyone's ratings changed?
No.
No.
11 out of 10.
Yeah, right.
100.
100. 0. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No, it's so good.
So
Yeah.
good.
I feel like Hereditary has the perfect amount of like, because we talk all the time about movies going from like 0 to 100, you know, but sometimes they take too long to get scary or like whatever. And I feel like Hereditary is the perfect amount of like slowly bringing it up to 100. It's like perfect.
But then when it hits 100, you're like, okay.
A steady,
okay.
Mommy, please stop hitting your head on panic.
It's like because it kind of goes in like a
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it makes me so annoyed because you know how we talk about how annoying people are when they're like, nothing, I'm not scared, nothing scary. I remember when Hereditary came out, there was a huge amount of people that were on this train of like, I just laughed the whole time. It was the dumbest movie I've ever seen. I just laughed the whole time. It was like, I hate
People
you.
do that for every horror movie.
Also, then you're a freak.
Yeah.
Also,
enjoy nothing.
That's not
Then-
scary. You should watch the
Suburban
Suburban film.
film.
I can't even say it because I hate that fucking film.
Those types of people, I'm like, don't watch horror movies then. If you didn't like
Yeah.
it, if you're not having fun, don't watch them.
Literally, just stop.
If
you're
you don't
not
like
scared.
it, just leave.
Leave. You need to leave.
I remember
Ugh.
when this came out. I was like, I had these like friends like back where I grew up, and we had a Facebook group where we just talked about horror movies. I'm not on Facebook anymore, so I can't like. But we all had the same thing. We were like, this is what I think The Witch was trying to be, and didn't succeed.
I still need to see The Witch.
I hate The Witch.
not
And The
good.
Witch
So
sucks.
pretentious.
It is. It's
Yeah.
the exact distinction between like pretentious horror and like elevated but not pretentious. The
That's-
Witch is so pretentious.
The
I can't
Witch.
stand
The
it.
Witch is one like because when I first hear elevated horror, I'm like, ugh, because it makes me think of The Witch. It's like
Mhm.
Hereditary is what I think when you're talking about like elevated horror. Like
Yeah.
I just
See, when I think of elevated horror, I think of Drag Me to Hell.
The silence was loud on that one. Do not dare edit that silent moment out.
Literally almost started crying. Okay.
I just bullied you. I'm sorry.
Siberia just runs away sobbing.
I go, okay.
I think Anaconda is elevated horror.
No, Hereditary is the kind of movie that like when I'm animatedly talking about how much I love horror movies, I just say like, I'm so excited to live in a time where Ari Aster is making movies because I know everything he makes is just gonna just fucking be
When's
amazing.
the next one, baby?
I know. I'm
yeah,
just dying for his next one.
My favorite directors have changed. Like, because when I was younger, it was like Tim Burton and John Hughes, and then I grew up, and I'm like, nope, it's Jordan Peele and Ari Aster.
Yeah, mine
Yep.
too,
Like-
for sure.
Well, I think I saw somewhere Ari Aster said that he has 11 screenplays he wants to do. So he's done these two. So I don't know.
Hand him over.
Beat it right to my bloodstream. Ugh.
Yeah, him and Jordan Peele. I'm like, keep them coming.
Come
Keep
on.
them coming.
Everything. Yes.
Have you seen
Oh.
have you seen those TikToks of people dressed up like the monkey and him, and they're like, nobody knows who we were?
Yes.
Yes.
I have.
Oh, you haven't seen Nope yet.
Nope.
Oh. I've
You
seen a
like
lot
that
of
either.
good jean jacket cosplays as well.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh,
so
costumes.
good.
Very
Yeah.
fun.
Me and
Well,
me and
excellent.
I'm excited to hear what Lauren's gonna pick after her favorite horror movie.
I know that was a lot of pressure here. I feel like I picked sort of a weird one, but like not weird, but like iconic.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
Okay.
All right, should I go into it?
Yeah.
Just kudos for an excellent first pick for the paranormal block.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. This movie was released in 2002 and is a remake of a Japanese horror film. It grossed $249 million worldwide on a $48 million budget, making it one of the highest grossing horror remakes of all time. Very interestingly to me, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 71% critics and a 48% audience. My pick is The Ring.
I love
I haven't seen The Ring since like high school.
I'm so
I love The Ring.
excited.
I'm
so
excited.
Does 48 not seem like weirdly
That's
low
crazy
for an
low.
audience?
Can I tell you a funny story about The Ring?
Please
Yeah.
do.
So when I was a kid, because this came out like when I was like in elementary school, and I remember being on the bus. I grew up in North Kakalaki.
North
So,
Kakalaki.
so like everybody had southern accents. So we're on the bus, and like one of my friends was telling me about it, and she was like, "Yeah," and she comes out of a whale, and I was like,
Oh, I think you told us this.
whale. I was like 10 years old, just like, huh?
What is it?
Pinocchio ass?
Yeah.
Like, and then I watched it like later with I watched it. I remember specifically I watched it at my grandma's house because my grandma was outside like gardening. And then when that scene happened, I was like, oh,
A whale.
I'm
Yeah.
so excited to rewatch this
I'm
movie.
so excited.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is one. I guess I could say this like on the next episode, but keeping you around. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies when I was growing up, and I remember my brother had seen The Grudge. Like we weren't allowed to watch horror movies, so he'd like seen it in a friend's house, and so I always thought of The Ring and The Grudge as like the same thing, kind of, because I just like hadn't ever seen them. So I saw The Grudge for the first time in college, and I was like, it was just okay. And then I rewatched The Grudge like last year, and I was like, that movie kind of sucks. But I just had this link in my mind that The Grudge and The Ring were like sort of the same thing because they came out around the same time. They sort of have like, a girl with hair in her face. So I watched The Ring for the first time last year, the year before, and I was like, this movie is so good. I
So
was
fun.
Well,
like, shocked at how good it was.
Well, there's like Japanese lore based around like dying like unforeseen circumstances like that, and it's always it's like a Japanese ghost with it's a girl with long black hair. That's why like a lot of like Japanese horror films feature like that character. I was
Samara is the
I
original
was
queen.
a weeb.
So yeah, and
Samara
I feel like
can
this
get
is like The Ring is one that, from what I've always heard, is like a movie that people like. And so when I saw 48 audience, I was like,
well, because I've always heard it as to be like one of like the scariest movies ever. Like,
no, I wouldn't say.
I don't know. Well, that's just me. Like, that's what I heard. When I was like, people were like,
there's a Japanese film where it's like, I just thought it was so funny because we have Freddy versus Jason. There's literally like a Japanese like the Grudge girl versus the Ring girl.
Oh God.
I remember I got Shudder specifically so I could watch that, and like it was pretty bad, but there was one scene where like she's coming out of the whale and she's crawling down she's coming out of TV and she's crawling down steps, and I was like, if I was 10 years old, this would literally be my nightmare.
But also right now, this is camp.
Those scared the shit out of me, so like I was like, this is literally 10-year-old person's nightmare right now.
No.
I've never seen The Grudge actually, but I saw The Ring.
It wouldn't be good now.
It's really does not hold up. It's
I
not
Is it in middle school?
The Japanese one is scary as shit. Like the original one.
I watched them both last year, and I was like, these both kind of suck.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I think they're like just so old. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they just don't really hold up.
Well, I haven't watched them since I was like 13, so I'll have to like go back.
Yeah,
maybe it is lame.
Sure.
I think I watched The Ring like in high school, maybe college, but I think high school. So I haven't seen it since. But I remember specifically like one scene where I was like,
Yeah. I'm excited to rewatch it because I think I've only seen it the one time. So I'm like, oh, I'm excited to rewatch this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to look up.
I think I've
where it's
also
streaming.
only seen it one time.
I've seen it quite a bit. I like loved that one as a kid.
Okay, it is on Paramount Plus, Amazon
Sick.
Prime, YouTube, Vudu, Apple TV.
Hell yeah.
Much everywhere.
Nice.
Let's get our ghost on, bitches.
Let's get our ghosties on.
I got good energy from this block. I'm excited about.
Yes.
And I feel excited about my pick, and I know Kirsten does too. So
I'm
I like this
so excited about mine.
category.
Nobody knows what it is.
No one who could possibly know.
So there's so many good like ghost movies. I'm like, can this be like 3 blocks, 5 blocks?
I know.
Please. I want to keep talking about ghost movies.
Sabiri and I were on the phone yesterday, and we were just like trying to think of what we were gonna pick, and we were like rattling off fucking bangers. We were like, oh man, there's like a lot of really good paranormal movies.
There's so many.
This will have to be a block that we can like repeat in the future.
Oh, we can come back to her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think many of our blocks we could repeat.
I would love to come back to psychological too.
Oh, me too.
I would
need
too.
A
I need a redemption.
I know, I did too. And this, like, we were even thinking about it when we were on the phone, and I was like, oh, there's like so many like more mainstream movies that I can think of for psychological that are so good, but we'll circle back.
Fine. We'll redeem ourselves, Lauren. We got it.
Well, a lot of when I was trying to pick a paranormal movie, I was like, a lot of these also fall into other categories. I was like, that one's found footage too. That one's also a foreign film. Oh, that one, yeah, you know.
It just depends on like what you want to use it for, I think.
We're gonna get to them all, baby.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was
good
fun.
episode.
I feel good.
Okay.
I feel great. I love that movie. I love it.
I love the movie.
Me too.
Yay.
Okay.
Well,
Okay, well, fucking bye.
Bye. We have to think of a sign out. We butcher it every single time.
That's why people love us, because we're so quirky.
Do they love us?
All 27 of them love us.
The number keeps changing.
Yeah, whoa, you went down one. Who left?
Oh, is it 28?
Whoever didn't make it to this part of the episode, they left.
Yeah, I'm out.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Eeks and Geeks. Make sure
we'll see you next week.
Yeah, make sure you watch The Ring so that you can discuss our next choice with us.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.